Hello and welcome to Not Your Forever Job, the show that helps you get clear and confident in your career so you can progress and create the career that you truly want. That's a bit of a tongue twister today. I'm Hayley Loren, a career coach and award-winning engineer and science presenter. And oh my goodness, I am so excited about this episode because I love anything to do with planning and scheduling. I know I'm a little bit weird. And I also love the moment, you know, when you get a new notepad and you write on the first page. Oh, I love that moment. Does anyone else get that? So we're going to chat about the 5 tips for effective planning, which you can use in your job and your personal life. So if you ever worry about not having enough time, you procrastinate, or kind of have some troubles focusing, or find large tasks a bit overwhelming, or even that you want to find a sweet spot between progress and overreaching, or you just generally need some help with planning, then this episode is for you, my friend. So I've always had this really strange relationship with plans because although I love them, I tended to make these really detailed, elaborate plans that I would never actually stick to. And I tell you what, it's only been the past couple of years when I actually realized why this has been the case. I was making this enormous error in my planning process, which I had no idea about. I thought I was just failing and I was just terrible at planning. A major example of my planning error that led to something pretty horrific was actually in my 20s. I had this idea, right, of becoming an actress. And if you know me, you might already know this. And I didn't want to quit my job straight away, but I wanted to have the same amount of acting training as somebody who was going through acting school. So what I did was I created this elaborate schedule that meant I did about 30 to 40 hours of acting training on top of my regular 40-hour work week. Every single morning, evening, lunchtime, and weekend was completely consumed with acting. And I thought this plan made complete sense because I was keeping the stability of a job, I was still working hard as well, and I was also working towards my dream. So I was like, well, you know, this is a win-win situation. Why wouldn't I do this? So I spent the next 5 months grinding away, doing the work and riding this wave of, oh yes, I have my shit together. I've got this amazing plan. I'm working towards my dreams. I kind of just was going with it. You know, I was just going with the flow. And I'm pretty sure you can guess what happened. So everything went horribly wrong. And I'm sure you can imagine that after doing this for month after month, even at weekends and not resting at all, I completely burnt out and ended up having this breakdown and having to take time out of work. So the crazy plan that had intended to lead me to success and to lead me towards my dream was the very reason I ended up in this very dark hole and feeling like a complete failure. I basically set myself up for this completely impossible goal because, you know, we all need to eat, we all need to sleep, and we all need to rest and relax. But for some reason, in that moment, for those months, I thought that I didn't need any of that. And I see this time and time again in driven people. It's this constant need to push and push and push because you believe that you're being slow otherwise, or you're not doing enough, and you're constantly pushing, and you do that to the detriment of your health, which then leads to kind of getting ill or burning out and things like that. And the thing is that my planning wasn't realistic. The drive behind the intention made sense, but essentially I set myself up for failure and for illness and for burning out. Now, whether you're in a job, you're thinking of a career change, or you want to start your own business, then realistic planning is absolutely essential. Now, I want to speak directly to those of you out there, if this is you, who are your own worst enemy. If you do struggle to relax, if you feel like you're not doing enough, or if you feel like you're not moving fast enough and you try and fill your time with as much stuff as possible. I'm saying this, by the way, from somebody who used to be like this, so there is zero judgment from me. And this is a trait in myself that I constantly have to work on. Then if you are in this place and this mindset leads you to a cycle of burnout, And if you're somebody who has no idea of where your time goes, and you feel like, oh, to be honest, I'm a bit of the opposite. I can't just go with the flow and things happen. And, I just feel like I don't have time in order to actually follow my dreams or do what I want to do. So many people feel like this. And it's amazing how many hours you can waste actually watching TV or scrolling through social media. And then you wonder why you've not been able to start that new project, or why you've not finished that thing that you wanted to start. So successful planning is all about balance. It's important to understand exactly where you spend your time so you can remove all of the time wasters and distractions. Now, I don't mean, for the driven people or the people who find it hard to relax, I don't mean remove the relaxation. Sometimes successful planning actually means planning in more relaxation. And this is something that I've been learning myself, is planning in the times to rest and recuperate, because otherwise, you know what you're going to do. You're just going to fill it with stuff and doing things, or feeling guilty about the fact that you're not doing things. And for me, this balance has been so important since starting my own business. And of course, for everybody going through lockdown, I think we've all suffered the difficulties with separating our time and our mindsets during the week and weekends when, you're having to stay in the same place. So if you want to achieve your goals and you want to progress and succeed, then you do need to get a handle on your planning and your scheduling. As boring as it might sound, although to be honest, as I said, I geek out about this stuff. And it's important to really understand yourself fully. And if you're somebody that operates on a higher level, by that I mean you're, constantly in meetings, you're a manager. It's amazing how many people that I've met who get into these almost routines and these cycles of bad habits. And even when you're that experienced, it's important to look at how you're running your life and your time. And it's amazing how firefighting and those moments where somebody says to you, can I just ask you this? Can I just get you to do this? And I think we can all relate to that, to be honest. Those moments are all time wasters as well. So being aware of this and understanding all of this, I just threw my hand up, by the way, and hit the microphone in this dramatic way. Understanding all of this is really important. And if you know that you need a certain amount of sleep, then you need to plan for this. If you're a female and you get horrendously painful periods, then you need to plan for this too. Okay, so with all of that being said, let's get to the actual concrete planning tips for success. Okay, so grab your notebook and your pen, make some notes, take actions down, and let's move forward together. Number one is be realistic. As I've said just now, don't expect yourself to do a million things. Expect and ensure that you need breaks, time out, you need fun, all of the things that you love. You need to prioritize your family and think about rest and space and what you need to do in order to actually move towards your goals to succeed. Do not do what I did and basically jam pack your whole entire days and think that just because you're awake, that means you should be working or doing something, because that is not true. Number two is know your goals and your priorities. So a lot of issues with planning exist because you kind of feel pulled in so many different directions and you're not clear on what is most important to you. So if you're finding you're not able to progress with your goals, or you burn out or get tired and you struggle to manage your mental health, or you get sad that you don't see your family that much or anything else like that, then this is really, really important for you. This is an important action and an important step for you. You need to be planning your life around the things that are important. Those priorities should be put in your calendar first, and then everything else works around them. So if your goal is to start a business or a side project, then this is going to take a lot of time. So you should be putting this in your calendar first before you start planning that you say yes to doing that meeting or chairing that particular meeting for that particular group that you're part of. You need to figure out what's most important to you and dedicate that time in your calendar for it. If you find yourself saying yes to lots of social events and then secretly wishing that you didn't actually have to attend, then take a look at your priorities. I totally get that it's hard to say no to things. And, I'm a recovering people pleaser as well. So I know where you're coming from. But Saying yes to too many things does not help you, and it will keep you stuck. So action-wise, write down a list of everything that is important to you, then put it in order of priority and make sure you're on there, okay? Because you should be at the top. You're number one, because if you're not looked after, then nothing can get done. Tip number 3. This, my friends, is another thing that I didn't realize, and I never ever did. And this was a massive downfall for me, okay, not doing this. So tip number 3 is double the time that you think something will take. The thing is that unexpected things happen all the time, and things can take longer than you think, which is why doubling the amount of time you think it will take to do something really, really helps, because it actually adds buffer time in. So this is a major pitfall. And as I said, I used to do this myself, or not do this myself. And I'd want myself to do things as quickly and efficiently as possible. But because of this, I would always put these unrealistic targets on myself, and I would underestimate how long something would take. And then within a day, I'm already late on my plan. And then this would make you feel like a failure, even though you're the one that actually set the plan in the first place. So you're kind of doing this self-fulfilling cycle of negativity and beating yourself up. Things happen, like getting ill. I never used to plan for the fact that I might get ill sometimes, or I might not feel good, or there are days when things happen and you feel sad. You can't help this. These are normal facts of life. So this is why doubling the amount of time you think things will take and blocking out that time in your calendar gives you a buffer. If you get something done faster, then that's great. It means that you can actually then move on to the next thing. And if you think something takes longer, then you've got room in there. You can move things around a little bit. Okay, tip number 4, which is something that I just mentioned, which is something I love, which is time blocking. So I love time blocking. Now, I never used to. I used to avoid doing this, but mainly because, as I said, I didn't plan time for rest or relaxation or illness or anything like that. But now that I'm actually planning realistically, time blocking is an absolute lifesaver. It's incredible. So this is essentially where you block out everything you need to do in your calendar, whether it's reading reports, checking emails, doing exercise, meetings, creative work, downtime. Blocking time in your calendar will help give you focus and avoid procrastination. So if you again find yourself being pulled in lots and lots of different directions, and you do lots of firefighting, or you're the boss and the main person and everybody wants a bit of time with you all of the time, then this is a real important one for you, because your calendar isn't just for meetings. It's for the work that you need to accomplish on a particular day. So if you need to spend the morning writing a report, then you should be blocking that time out in your calendar so that nobody else tries to book a meeting with you during that time. So I pretty much time block everything. I'll have a block for personal things on a Friday afternoon. I block out exercise, yoga, my morning routine, project work, and I book out my free time too. Now, if you're a spontaneous person, you might think, oh, this sounds horrible. But it's not that I actually block out what I'm going to be doing necessarily with my spare time. Sometimes I do, but I like to leave room in there for being spontaneous too. But it basically makes it really easy to decide what I should and shouldn't be focusing on a particular day and time, which means that when things come up, either I'm able to say no with confidence. So for the people pleasers, that's a very important one, because you want to be able to have a proper reason in your mind as to why you can't do something. And then you want to be able to say yes in those moments that you do have free time to be spontaneous without, distracting you from your dreams. So here's an example for you. So for many years, I wanted to start my own business, and I'd think to myself, I'll work on that tonight. And then someone at work would say, hey, we're going for a beer. Do you want to come? And I'll be like, sure, because I wanted to be spontaneous. I wanted to have fun. I was in my 20s at the time as well. But the thing is that mindset meant it took me years to actually take action and do anything, because I allowed other people and immediate fun to derail me from my actual goals and ambitions. So it slowed me down, and it even stopped me from pursuing the bigger goals in my life. So this is why it's so important to actually understand your priorities and to understand, okay, what is important to me right now? Is it important that I start building up my company, or start working towards chartership, or working towards something, or, doing something? Or is right now more important that I make friends and I be spontaneous? There is room for both of them. So when I first came out of university, because I had such a kind of partial difficult time at uni, I wanted to have some fun, and I just wanted to say yes to everything. And it was brilliant. And having those a couple of years where I could just kind of let loose and have fun it's a part of who I am now. And it's so incredibly important. And that was my priority at the time. But then I kind of learned those bad habits of people pleasing and constantly saying yes to everything. And I've had to slowly over the years get better at saying no and getting more control over my time and being more strict as well with myself. So it does mean that very often I will say no to things. And I know that I need to do that. I need to say no. But the thing is that the people who love you and care about you, they understand that. The people who want to be part of your life will understand that you've got things that you need to and want to work towards. And they're probably doing the same thing as well. So these are the sorts... I just did the dramatic thing and hit the microphone again. These are the sort of people that you want to surround yourself with. Tip number 5 is be flexible. So even with all of this time blocking, it's important to remember that plans are meant to change. And this is still something that I work on myself, because change can be difficult, I think, for anybody. And if you have your nice fancy calendar and you've worked out exactly what you're doing on a particular day, but then suddenly, something happens and that can't happen, you have to move things around, then it can get a little bit stressful and but so we have to kind of keep this looseness and this humor as well about things and stay flexible. And remember that plans are meant to change. The reason why you have a plan is so that you can plan for these sorts of things as well. So if you've doubled the time for things and you already have buffer built into your calendar as well. So it's important to allow yourself that as well. And I mean, let's be honest, if my partner Matt suddenly surprised me being like, I've booked a weekend away to Paris, I'm not going to be like, no, it's not on my plan. I don't want to go. To be honest though, just between us, I would probably think it. I would be like, but I had all of that stuff that I needed to do. And then my other self would say, it's fine though, because you built buffer into your calendar, didn't you? Yes, well done. But let's be honest, Matt knows me well enough now. We've been together for like 7.5 years, 8 years. So he knows all of these things. So he knows me well enough to check my calendar. And of course, there's things like getting ill. When you get ill, you need to be able to rest. There needs to be the rule of laptop goes off, phone goes off, rest, recoup, because the only way that you're going to improve and be able to be your freaking badass self is by being fit and healthy. So my friends, stay flexible, stay adaptable with your plans. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over all of these. So number 1 is be realistic. We don't want any burnout, okay? Number 2 is know your goals and priorities. I think this is a really important one. Number 3, double the time that you think something is actually going to take. Number 4, block the time out in your calendar. And number 5 is stay flexible. Okay, so now it is time for action, my friends. Doing a little bit of a jiggle there. If you're listening on the podcast, I've just been awkwardly dancing to myself like a weirdo. If you are a listener, you know that action is really, really important, because you need to move forward. This is what we're about. This is what my coaching is always all about. It's about how we can move forward and progress and get that clarity and rise up. Okay, so what I want you to do is to think about one action that you can take that will help you plan more effectively. Okay, so that's the action. And make sure that you actually do this, because taking control of your planning can actually propel your career and your business and any of your projects, and it will free up more of your time and bring more energy to your days and ensure that your life is focused on what is actually important to you. And I can tell you what, if I wasn't scheduling and planning my time, then I would really struggle to turn up for you here. I wouldn't be able to record the podcast or put these videos up either, because everything would just feel so manic all of the time. But to get here to you, to be here with you right now, it takes planning and it takes scheduling. So honestly, I really, really recommend that you get a handle on this and take action. If you need more help, then I recommend that you listen to episode 11 if you haven't actually already listened to it. It's about the 7 steps to set yourself up for success in 2021. If you're actually watching the show, then you can head over to my podcast over on Spotify, which is the same name, Not Your Forever Job, if you want to listen to that. And you can also sign up to my weekly career boost if you want some more positive vibes from me and some career help. Again, I was doing the little funny dancer. I feel like I'm in a dancey mood today for some reason. And you can grab your free career clarity guide as well, which is going to help you figure out your path. And you can do that by just signing up on my website. So go to www.hayleyloren.com/coaching, and I'll also put the links in the show notes today. So that is all from me this week. I hope you found this useful, and I will speak to you next week.